Welcome to Pocket Women Lockpicking and Locksport. Today is Lotto Lock Tuesday. Hashtag to find all the videos in the series. Anyone can join in, just whack the hashtag on your video so we can find it. We put it in a playlist and we all get to enjoy it. Lockout, tagout locks. They're the locks that keep our workers safe. They lock off machinery so other people don't come along and turn it on while you've got your head in it. We're going to compare everything here to the American 1100. Which is the go-to lockout tagout lock with an aluminium body. That code there gives you the date it was manufactured. So we're going to compare it to the 90A Pro, which was made by Paclock. This is the one I picked recently as a direct competition to the American. Mako brought one out and Brinks has one as well. They're the ones that I have. Thank you to the Skull Picker. Let's start with the screw length. With the Paclock, we've measured everything from the base of the head to the end. You can see the Paclock has a torque head as well, which is one of those. It's number 15 to be able to get into it. Everyone else is a Phillips head. So the Paclock is 19.7, the Mako is 8.4, the Brinks is 18.2, and the American is 18.65. Why does that matter? Well, having a tiny screw like that doesn't give you a whole lot of holding power once you put it in to there, which means it is prone to a force brute attack that can be pulled out a lot easier than something that is that long, that is being held in that far. That's the difference. Let's take a look at the base plate, which is the other form of protection. This is your dual protection, also where it holds everything in, holds your core in. So the main difference you can notice is the round hole here, and the Mako has the square hole. The thickness of these plates matter because of the drill protection. The Paclock is 2.94, the Mako is 2.45, the Brinks is 3.16, and the American is 3.46. So there's like a 2 mil difference between the Mako and everyone else. That makes the difference of the base plate. It's a lot thinner. That 1 millimeter in locks makes a difference. Let's talk circlips. Now this is your Paclock one. This is made out of steel. It has a little nib in the middle there because that little nib goes into that little hole there to hold it. So it makes it a lot easier when you're trying to remove it because you've got something that it's already been binding against. Whereas the other ones, they look like they're copper and they just have 2 little nibs at the side that don't really grab onto anything and you end up fighting with it. They're all the same, those three. Let's take a look at the keys. Paclock is a nice heavy solid one made out of probably a composite of brass. The Mako is a metal light one. You can feel the difference. The Americans are the brass ones as well, nice and shinies, and the Brinks are the same. Got a nice bit of weight in them, got the Brinks wearing on them. Pretty cool. So these feel a lot like they spent a lot less money on them than the brass ones. Let's take a look at the plugs. Now the noticeable difference between all of these is the Paclock has the actuator part with the ball bearings milled onto the plug. Everyone else just has the actuator turning part. That grabs the actuator and turns it. However, all of these have it like this. This part horizontal, vertical, no, that's horizontal, that's vertical, so vertical instead of horizontal, which leaves this open to a bypass attack. You can put your bypass tool in there, it hits against there and enables you to turn it. They all have the same plug. Except Brinks has this little hole here. I'm not sure if you can put a pin in that to enable it to be key retaining. We don't know. Let's look at the plug diameters. There's not a whole lot of difference. The Paclock is 10.2 wide. Mako 10.35. The Brinks is 10.3 and the American lock is 10.3, which enables the key pins. These key pins all fit in each other's chambers. There is no difference to the size of the chamber holes in the plugs. So the key pins are all interchangeable throughout all of these locks. However, there's some differences in the key pins. The Paclock ones they're rounded. That's not quite a serration, that's more like a machine mark, because it doesn't go all the way around. And they are slightly beveled at the top, but the key pin themselves, they're rounded, they're not pointy. Whereas the Brinks has a slight point to it. And the serration is actually a serration. It's a light shallow serration, but there's a serration, and these are quite rounded. Whereas the American, it's got some point to it. And it also has a more defined serration, a lot deeper and wider. The drivers, well, the American drivers are pretty cool. They look great actually. The serrations are nice and deep and defined. And you can feel those clicks as you pick in that lock. And as well as the spools, they also have serrations on them. Tiny, but they're there and they can be effective. And the spool themselves is quite deep and defined. You can tell it's a spool. Same as with the Brinks. You can tell it's a spool. It's a nice defined spool with deep serrations, a lot deeper than the American serrations. The Mako, their serrated pin has nice wide serrations and they're quite deep too. Their spool has no serrations and it's a shallow spool, not much of a lip between the spool part and the top the bottom, the top and the bottom of the spool. Whereas your Paclock has a spool that's more like an umbrella at the base. So this is the part of the spool that they've got interacting with the key pin. It is rounded off. So it's more like an upside down umbrella. So that's the main difference between the spools. Doesn't look like Paclock have a serrated pin in here. The key pins aren't serrated, and the spools, they're just the umbrella type. However, there's a difference between the manufacturing. Some of these spools are not really well defined. They're not even all the way around. As you can see, the spool part on that side has hardly got a lip at all, whereas on that side it's more defined. And the key pins, well, no serrations, no marks, just machine marks. The bodies on all of these are exactly the same. They all match up. Put one against the other, they're all the same. Key retaining. The Paclock is key retaining. Why is that important? Well, when you put your key in your lock, you unlock it, your key stays in there, you must lock the padlock back up to remove your key. Whereas all of the others are not key retaining, which means you can unlock your lock, take your key out, leave your lock unlocked and lose it. Let's look at the bypass wafer. Now, having this sort of a plug with the vertical instead of the horizontal, this part enables you to put a bypass tool in there, touches that, and you can turn the plug. Now, to counteract that, American Lock came up with a bypass wafer. So it's a thin piece of metal that covers over the bottom of that area, so that when the plug goes in, that is covered over, so when you put your bypass tool in, you hit that wafer. However, of course, there's a bypass for the bypass, and there's a tool that you can put in there and punch it to create a hole in that wafer to then enable you to put your little, looks like a little golf club bypass tool in there. Let's talk Bible lengths. So this is the Bible for the Paclock. I mark my fronts like that. So the length that was measured was from here to here. Paclock 27.18. Mako is 20.38. The Brinks is 21.93, and the American Lock Bible is 22.02 long. So the only difference really is in a millimetre difference between the Brinks and the American and the Mako. The Mako once again smaller, and the Paclock 6 millimetres longer, because it is a 7-pinner. To identify a lockout tagout lock to its key, the key has a number on it, and that number is usually written down in a book when you log out your lockout tagout lock, and when you have it on your lock, it can help you identify which key belongs to which lock. So Paclock has those numbers. Mako has the bidding of the key by the look of it. American lock has a lockout tagout number, and it also has a number on the side of the lock to match that up. And the Brinks has a code as well. I think that's all we need to talk about today with these locks. So Paclock directly brought out their 7-pinner to rival the American lock. Mako and Brinks brought it out so that they had something to offer their customers that was a lockout tagout lock to rival the American 1100s. Thanks for watching, everyone. Get on into Lotto Lock Tuesday, hashtag it, Lotto Lock Tuesday. Support everyone who's participating in the series. Go check out their videos. I usually gather them up at the end of the week, put them in a playlist on my channel to make it easier for you to find, or just wait for Tuesdays and you can find all the videos as they are released. Thanks for watching. Stay legal. Temptation is everywhere.